How you feeling? Yeah? In love. Gushy. It's good. One of my favorite Hezekiah Walker songs. Well, he didn't write it, but he and the choir performed it. And it's truly one of those touching songs, emotional songs. It's it's one of those songs that when I'm driving down here, I hit repeat, and it's 7 minutes long, and it just repeats and repeats and repeats, and I sound like Michael Gott in my own car, and it's like I'm awesome, feeling really good about that. But it's something that really stirs me, it's something that really touches me, and it's something that really moves me. Because what it is demonstrating to me, that particular song, is it's demonstrating an interconnectedness, a interdependence, if you will, of I need you, and you need me, and we need each other. It's an interconnection that is happening. And so when I chose the title, I Need You, I did that very deliberately. Because, most things I do are pretty deliberate. Not always. Sometimes there's unskilled behavior, I admit it, I apologize. And I chose the title, I Need You, because in our faith philosophy and Centers for Spiritual Living, sometimes we get caught up on this word need. Right? Ooh, I need. God gives me everything I need. Oh, God, what does that need? Then I feel so diminished, I feel so small. And if I'm the co-creator of my own world, then do I really need anything? It's a matter of what I want. And I can demonstrate my thoughts, and I can, co-create or create or manifest my own destiny, my own life. And all that's really true. And yet at the same time, in that beautiful song, it says, it is God's will that every need be supplied, right? That every need is supplied. It's God's good pleasure to give us the kingdom, and it was given in the beginning, right? We already have it. It's more about aligning ourselves with it and opening ourselves out to it and being available and accessible to it and surrendering those things within us that keep us from achieving or receiving, right? Because really it's about us having a closed fist or a closed heart than it is about something being withheld from us, right? And so the words, I need you to survive, right? I was in another faith community not too long ago, and they sang this beautiful song, and the minister had felt the need to change the words to, I need you in my life. Because the minister did not like the word survive, right? It felt to her, it felt out of alignment with what we teach. And to me, when I heard, I need you in my life, that felt out of alignment to what we teach. We did not have a discussion because it was not my place and it was not my church. But what I want to draw attention to there is that the word survive can also be like, ooh, survive, right? It can also trigger us a little bit. And I think it also goes beyond survival, it goes into thrive and thriving and thrival. So not only do I need you to survive, I need you to thrive, right? And why do I need that? Where is that coming from? Is that need a place of codependence, or is that need a place of interdependence? And so when I heard her version, I need you in my life, I was like, ooh, that sounds codependent to me. Ooh, I need you in my life so I feel better about myself. Right? And to her, it's like, survive. No, we don't just survive. And why would we talk about surviving? We should talk about thriving. And, survival is okay, but we need to thrive. And it's a both and, right? There's multiple ways of looking at this statement, obviously. I've just presented you with a couple of ways of looking at that particular statement. But when I look at it from a codependent statement of I need you in my life, I need you, in order for me to survive, I need you, right? And it establishes the state of codependency. And this morning at our morning table at 9 a.m., we had about 12 to 15 people show up for that, so thank you for all of you who came to that. That was wonderful. We had a rich discussion around what does codependency mean and what does that look like, and what does interdependency mean and what does that look like. And as we were having this discussion, the codependency piece, as it was arising and as we were talking about it, that codependency really is a fear-based way of behaving with each other, and it's also a very emotionally based way of interacting with each other. That there is this piece of me that fears that if I'm not in relationship with you, if somehow we don't have this good relationship, then there might be something wrong with me, or you might go away, right? There's also this piece of I'm going to do whatever I need to do to be in relationship with you, to maintain relationship with you, so that I'm not lonely or I'm not feeling diminished or I'm not feeling less than. So frequently our codependencies have a tendency to show up as from fear and that needing, and show up as expressions of our own self-worth and our own self-value. That we show up in a relationship in a codependent way because what we're really seeking is we're really seeking our own self-worth, our own self-value. That this is how we're deriving our self-worth and our self-value, is by being in a relationship this way. And it's an unhealthy relationship. It's a fear-based relationship. So one way that codependency shows up is enabling, right? Enabling behaviors. Like, I'm going to make sure that you can continue to do what you're doing, and I'm going to support you, and you're going to do this, and it's unhealthy, and the way I'm feeling good about myself is because I'm supporting you so much, right? I'm giving you, and I'm enabling. People pleasing, right? That's another way. People pleasing. We got to, let me make sure that Liviera is taken care of, and then let me make sure that Dinah's taken care of, and then I'm not receiving anything, but I'm trying to make sure that everybody else is taken care of. I need to modify my behavior so that I can please Dinah so that she'll like me, right? Or not. Right? That I need to modify my behavior somehow. I need to change the way I'm showing up. I need to monitor who I am and how I'm showing up in the world so that people will like me, right? So there's multiple ways, and it's very tricky. It just kind of slides in on the side, right? Like, all of a sudden, we don't really realize that we're in a codependent behavior. It's like, an example just from this morning, at 9:15, the choir members who were attending the morning table came in to rehearse. And Tony stayed back and was still in the morning table. And without even thinking, I say, Tony, are you okay? Do you need to be in there with choir, because I know you're part of choir and singing the song? He's like, no, I'm good. I'm like, oh, okay. I'm like, well, right? Caught myself right there. Like, really? Here I am, trying to take care of Tony, making sure that Tony is where he needs to be. I don't need to do that. He's a grown man. He can make the decision himself where he needs or wants to be. He knows best where he needs to be in that moment. I don't need to manage that. But it just slips so easily in. It's like, oops. And I called myself on it right there in the room. I was like, oh, look, there was codependency showing up right then and there. Oh. Right? It's slippery. It's easy to just kind of like fall into that. And what it is because we're living with each other and in relationship to each other, and it is important that, we maintain good relationships. Then sometimes we shrink ourselves or we modify our behavior in order to get that which we think we're missing or that which we are wanting or we're desiring, right? And so that shows up more as a codependency piece. And so when we sing the song that we just did, and we sing, I need you to survive, from a codependent piece, is like, without you, I am nothing. That's really, a way of saying it. Another way of looking at it is, if mama ain't happy, ain't nobody happy, right? I'm going to modify my behavior, right? And I know that some of you want to keep that one, so that's okay. Some of you want to keep that one, that's all right, and just be aware, right? And so then the discussion evolves to, well, if we're in this codependent behavior, then what are some ways that we can move beyond these codependent behaviors? And a couple of our beloveds talked about taking an inventory of our lives, whether taking an inventory, mentally taking an inventory of how are we showing up, or whether it being a written inventory of how we're showing up, how we're participating in life, how we're interacting with one another. And do I really need to be involved in this way? What benefit am I deriving? How am I manipulating, right, a relationship to get really what it is that I want or what it is that I feel that I'm needing or lacking? Right? So it became about awareness, right? Well, what do we teach here? It's about awareness, self-awareness, right? Taking responsibility for ourselves and taking responsibility for our own lives, and letting Tony be there or be here wherever he needs to be without me having to micromanage that, without me even having to worry about it. Just simply trusting and allowing that he's in his right and perfect place. And where I get to look at myself is then I get to just stay on track with what we're already doing. I get to hold forth the vision, look at the vision, rather than try to solve a problem. I get to move forward toward the vision or toward what it is where we're moving, right? That's a way of going about it. And then we talked about interdependence and how interdependence is different from codependence. Interdependence is very similar to this poem from John Donne. Many of you are probably familiar with it. It is a piece of his meditation number 17. Okay? Sure. Yeah. Once I start reading it, you'll go like, oh yeah, I know that one. All right. So, I even printed it big so I don't have to have glasses today. No man is an island, entire of itself. Every man is a piece of the continent, a part of the main. If a clod be washed away by the sea, Europe is the less, all as well as if a promontory were, as well as if a manor of thy friends or of thy own were. Any man's death diminishes me, because I am involved in mankind, and therefore never send to know for whom the bell tolls, it tolls for thee. So this is a really clear example, even though it was written back in the 1600s, it's a very clear example of our interconnectedness of life. And what we're discussing is that our interconnectedness and our interdependence really is a more complex way of viewing the world. There's a complexity to it. And what it does is it also offers up compassion. It also offers up freedom. It offers up greater expansion, because what codependency does is codependency tends to arrest our own development. Codependency tends to withhold. It tends to not allow for a greater development or a greater expression of ourselves, where the knowledge of interdependency allows for that greater compassion, allows for a greater idea, allows for a greater sense of community, of being in relationship with each other in a whole nother way, of recognizing that if I need you to survive, the reason I need you to survive is not just for my own survival, but not just because I'm feeling needy. I need you to survive because I need you to thrive. Because we have a vision here at Centers for Spiritual Living, and that vision is creating a world that works for everyone in all of creation. And if we're going to create a world, if we envision a world that works for everyone in all of creation, then everybody needs to be thriving. Everybody needs to be surviving. Everybody needs to be living their highest potential, which is why our mission statement, our focus statement, is this here on the wall. So let's say this together. We embolden people to live their highest potential through the transformative power of love. This is helping us to thrive. This is helping us to survive. What we see, the way we see creating a world that works for everyone or envisioning a world that works for everyone is here at this space. What we choose to do, how we choose to show up, we choose to embolden each other. We choose to be in community with each other, to raise each other up, to invite each other into living our highest potential. And how do we go about doing that? We go about doing that by being the transformative power of love, of being a place of love, of being a place of compassion, of being a safe space, of providing a container or a vessel in which each of us can grow and develop and mature spiritually and emotionally and physically and psychologically, where we can all begin to grow. And so when we sing, "I need you to survive," from that perspective, we are inviting, it is more of an invitation of interdependence of, my best life is great, but my best life is magnified and amplified when your best life is being expressed and unfolding. And then our best life is magnified and expressed when this best life is also unfolding. This highest potential is unfolding. And then it becomes exponential in our growth. So in order for me to really have and experience my best life, if I want to bring it straight back to just me, I need Carl to be living his best life too. I need Samuel to be living his best life too. I need Leslie to be living her best life. Because if they're not living their best lives, recognizing that there is only one life itself, then there is also, I too am diminished, right? As he says and as John Donne says, right? So there is an interdependence here of working together, and it's not devoid of emotion. It's not devoid of anything along that line. There is an emotional component to it, but the emotion is different because the motivator is a different motivator. I'm not coming when I'm living from an interdependent place or the awareness of interdependency, I'm not coming from a fear-based place. I'm coming more from a compassionate-based place. And the way to make that move and that shift is we get to do our own work, and we get to do our own work within the community as a whole. Yes? This weekend, so yesterday, actually, yesterday, the core council and I guess I'm part of the core council too, all of us, the 6 of us, got together at Dinah's house, and we have begun working with a book called Creating the Beloved Community, which, as you know, is the theme for this month, is creating the beloved community, building the beloved community, and that our community here, our Riverside Center for Spiritual Living, is poised to be a leader in our larger community. There's a vision that has come forth that we are an example of what it looks like when a healthy spiritual community leads a city and leads Riverside. And what makes Riverside so beautiful and so amazing is that the culture that we have here in Riverside runs deep. The people who live here in Riverside, a lot of them have lived here for a very long time. Some of them, their families have lived here for a very long time. And what that creates is that while it doesn't create the aloha spirit that Wayne, Casey, and I are used to, yay! While it doesn't create the aloha spirit, what it does create is it creates a deeper sense of connection and a deeper sense of community. And that is very beautiful, and it is very rare, and it is very wonderful to see and to experience in today's day and age. And Casey, Wayne, and I talk about this a lot. That like there's a sense here of being home in a way that I'm going to speak for the two of you, if that's okay. The way that we only feel that when we're in Hawaii. That there's a place, there's a sense that we call it mana. There's a sense of spirit, there's a sense of place, there's a sense of home that we experience here in Riverside. And I think those of you who are from Riverside or from this area, you sense it too. You know, and so we were discussing this yesterday, and we were looking at our vision of creating a world that works for everyone and all of creation. And we were looking at our focus statement, our mission statement of we embolden people to live their highest potential through the transformative power of love, and how this statement helps support, helps guide as to how we go about being in the world and working in the world and achieving the high ideal of a world that works for everyone. And then we also started looking at our values here at the center. And what is it that we as a community really value? What is it that we really value, right? And so we did a couple of processes, and there were several that came up. There were many that came up that I would say are probably core values, but there were 5 in particular that really stood out. And in no particular order, just they happen to be the order that I put them in. So no particular order. The 5 were compassion, that we value compassion in this community, that we value love and community, we value love and connection, we love being together, communing together, coming together. So we love community, we love love and community. We also value spiritual development and spiritual growth. Yes? Okay, just checking. That we value spiritual growth and spiritual development and supporting each other in that. We also value inclusion, radical inclusion. So that means not only gender, race, sexual identity, gender expression, culture, that also means values. Ooh, I know, there's a, ooh, wait a minute, whoa, wait, what? Right? But that we also that we are also inclusive of values, that we don't diminish somebody because of a different value system. Rather, we honor that diversity and we welcome that as part of the dialogue and part of the community in a healthy way. And then the other thing that was the number 5 thing there was open to possibility. Being open to possibilities and what may be possible, what's new, what's wanting to emerge. We're willing to try, we're willing to experiment, we're willing to be with each other in different ways and explore new ways of being and how to be within this safe space. Those are all really great values, would you say? Yeah? Would you agree with those values, do you feel? Okay. And there are others, for sure. There are others. So don't feel that we didn't look at some of the others too, okay? Because there are others. But those are the ones that I wanted to bring to you this morning to begin to presence that into the room, to then begin to sense that and feel that within the community. Because what we did when we looked at that is that for each one of those, each one of us had to write down 5 ways that each one of those values is showing up in our community. And if we couldn't write down 5 ways how each one of those values is already showing up in our community, it's not a core value. Right? So there had to be 30 reasons, minimum, for the value in order to be like, okay, yeah, this is one of our values. Right? 30 different ways things are showing up. Each of those are showing up. So one of the biggest, one of the most important that really came through when we were really looking at it, of those 5, love and community connection really stood out of all of them. That one really rose to the top. That love and community and connection really, really rose to the top. And some of the ways that love and community and connection showed up in our list was Sunday morning gatherings like this. That this is an opportunity for love, this is an opportunity for connection, this is an opportunity for community. And so what I invite you to do is, if you have had any part, any volunteer role, any part in producing this Sunday morning's or any Sunday morning's gathering here, I invite you to stand at this time. And that includes hospitality, that includes youth and family, anything. Where you've had some kind of a role in making this happen. Marty and Vicky, you can stand too. You're videoing for us. So, right? So I want you to look around the room and see these beloveds who are in service to the community, creating this container, creating this possibility. And we have Ace back there still videoing, but he's there, right? So I invite you to shower these people with some love. If you are in hospitality, meaning you are cleaning up, you are providing food, you're cooking, you're doing any of that, I want you to stay standing, and everybody else can have a seat. Cindy, if you can go grab our beloveds who might be, I saw Francis zip out to check on something. Fred can raise your hand. All right, Fred's raising his hand over there. So, so these beloveds, are they coming? These beloveds are in service to you every week. These beloveds nourish our bodies, provide us with food, provide us with fellowship, and provide us with a sense of community, a sense of love. Here comes Francis and Sam, Wendy, Darlena. So, beloveds, just stay standing. So, as I was saying, these beloveds shower us with love, and help provide us with nourishment, help provide us with a sense of community and love. Okay? And what has come to our attention, what has come to my attention, is that we need, as a community, we need them to survive. And what I mean by that is we need for them to thrive. And we haven't been doing a good job lately. Our beloveds here, like we just had 5 or 6 of them come in because they're in the kitchen, not in here. Right? They're missing out being able to be in here because what they're doing in service is they're making sure that we have food afterward. So when we think about those core values of love and community, we do value love and community, but are we valuing love and community at the expense of these beloveds' spiritual development, of these beloveds' ability to participate in the larger community? Are we including them in our services, and are we including them in our prayers and in our appreciation, or are we seeing them as people here to provide us with food or nourishment? Are we really honoring and lifting them, or are we seeing them in some other way, even a more diminished way? And so my question for all of us here is, if we are about love and we are about community, but if we're also about compassion and spiritual development and inclusion and open to new possibilities, are we as a community who loves these beloveds, willing and open to look at a more compassionate way, a more loving way to support these beloveds. Are we willing?
Yes.
And so, this afternoon, as you're enjoying fellowship, I invite you to begin to contemplate at your tables possibilities of what it might look like, not from a codependent. I'm not trying to take care of them. We're not trying to take care of them in that way, but we're showing up as a community, recognizing our interdependence. We're not trying to take care of by coming up with our own idea of what works best for them. They're part of the conversation, right? But for all of us to become aware and to begin to think about, how am I showing up in fellowship? What could I be doing differently in fellowship? Because how many of you want to stay here until 2 o'clock washing dishes? Want to stay here until 2 o'clock washing dishes? Right? Okay? How many of us want to stay here and lock up at 2 o'clock? How many of us want to take out trash every week? At 2 o'clock. Right? So, something to begin to think about how we are showing up in community, not making anybody wrong, but bringing awareness to how we're showing up as the power and presence of love. And having the opportunity to take responsibility for how we're showing up and what our expectations are. And what we're expecting, what we're wanting, and how we're willing to contribute to making fellowship happen in a more compassionate, loving way where everybody is lifted and there aren't any feelings of resentment or expectation. Because that falls back into the codependency piece, right? Not being valued, not being seen, not being heard. That drops us back. So if we can lift us all up. So these are the conversations I invite you to have today in fellowship. And last week we took responsibility by saying thank you, right? We took responsibility by the ho'oponopono process of acknowledging and asking forgiveness. So what I first want to do is I want to first acknowledge all of these beloveds who have been in service, in hospitality in any way, shape, manner, or form. Let's give them some love right now. And then I invite you to just extend your hands to them and repeat after me. Thank you. I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. One more time. Thank you. I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. You are important to me. I love you, and I need you to survive. And so it is. Beloveds, thank you for your service. Thank you for coming in. Thank you for all that you do in providing for us and nourishing our bodies, nourishing our minds, and nourishing our spirits and souls. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So this is a demonstration. This is a prime example, a prime demonstration of what it means to be interdependent rather than codependent. Of recognizing that, oh wow, there's other people here, not just me, not just my needs. That there is a way of working collaboratively, working with each other for all of our needs to be met in the most kind and loving and generous way. And so when we do this and when we behave in this way, and here we get to start it right here with our beloveds. Isn't that wonderful? We get to start it right here with each other. participating with each other to create the beloved community here within the center. And then that begins to then spill out into Riverside. But what a wonderful opportunity to have this laboratory, to have this incubator, to practice what it is that we want to live and what it is that we want to experience and what it is that we want to live out into the world. What a beautiful, beautiful thing this is, this place that we call home. And so I would like to invite a beloved to come forward at this time. Kristen, if you would. To come forward and get ready here. There's one other person that I would like to acknowledge today before Kristen sings this beautiful song, and that is Dora Ochoa. So Dora, if you want to break your high watch and come forward, please. Dora Ochoa is one of our beloved licensed spiritual practitioners, and she has a wonderful opportunity ahead of her. And we are super excited to love on her and to support her in this opportunity. So Dora, as you know, is bilingual. And she has the opportunity now to work at Vision Center for Spiritual Living in San Diego, helping to move our movement out into the Spanish-speaking world at Vision. So you're working with Practitioner Miguel Zuleta. They are holding services in Spanish, and they are teaching classes in Spanish. So we are going to lovingly send her to Vision Center for Spiritual Living, knowing that she is always part of our community, but knowing that she is doing even greater work in the world. And so this is our interdependence. We're not going to hold her back and keep her here and like, no, you can't go. Well, that's codependence. But we're going to lovingly send her off to Vision Center and send her off into the greater expression of her ministry and the ministries of Centers for Spiritual Living. And so I wanted to have Kristen share this song in honor of you and in honor of all of us, and it's called Home. So if you want to sit here, that'd be wonderful. And get out your tissues.
Now when I walk into this room and I look into your eyes, well, somehow I am not surprised. It's like I've known you all of my life, the sweetest place I've ever known, a place to rest, to know I'm not alone. With all those years out on my own, well, I finally found I'm home. And when you hold me in your arms, with no malice and no harm, and all our hearts hearts are open wide. There's no reason, no want to hide. The sweetest place I've ever known, a place to rest, to know I'm not alone. With all those years out on my own, where I finally found I'm home. Now when I look out on this crowd and all that I can see is all I ever dreamed, looking back at me, the sweetest place I've ever known, a place to rest, to know I'm not alone. With all those years out on my own, well, I finally found, well, I finally found I'm home. I'm home. I'm home.
So that is the phenomenal Kristen Rothfuss. So yes, thank you. And Dora, you always have a home here as well. So blessing. That felt like prayer to me. Does that feel like prayer to you? Yes, and so it is. Ooh.